lecture about the speaker and the topic. One of our program committee members, a very close associate of the Bhavan, Dr. T.N. Before that, I will start this program with a Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayati guru yat kripa amaham bande paramanandam. Years ago we started this series of lectures every year and almost every Saturday on various topics. In the Upanishad it is said, Sa Vidya Bhavan. These lectures should open our eyes and drive away our ignorance. That is Vidya which leads us to real freedom from all the bondage of the world. The more we understand, the more free we become. And Shankara says, Mukti is not after death, Mukti is here and now. And I'm sure these lectures organized by the Bhavan will take us all closer towards that highest. So, with these words, now I request Indaka to come and introduce our guest speaker today, Dr. Ramachandran.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the program committee of Vidya Bhavan, it gives me immense pleasure to invite Ramachandran to the citadel of Indian culture in UK. I think that's what we consider, and that's what most of us hold. It gives me equally great pleasure to welcome you all to this evening. I happen to have heard him a couple of times in the last 2 weeks, and I happened to miss one on Kannappanayana. After listening to him for the second lecture when I went on to, which was on Karikalamaya, my regret began. Because why did I ever miss the first one at all? And the regret still stays. What I found about those lectures were, they were all in Tamil. His erudition was absolutely evident. No question about that. But then, there are very many people, I think we are fortunate in this world to have erudite people. But how often amongst them we find people who have read, understood, assimilated it, and yet able to give it over to the third party, like us, in the most appealing way by extrapolating, embellishing, or annotating appropriately, which I found in his lectures were the Shiraku Amsam, as we put it in Tamil. And he was swinging from, if you were quoting Shakespeare, he went into Shakespeare to Shakespeare and Milton to Manimaitare, pardon the alliteration, but that's how he went. And the swing was very smooth, not at all contrived. And I happened to come back and tell my children it was a real pleasure that he has given us the opportunity to hear him. And I very much wanted a lot of younger generation to come and hear him. Having said that, he is a personality in his own step. He is a lawyer by profession. So in Hindi we say, Urdu we say, लफ्जों का फायदा उठाना तो उनका ही पेशा है. His लफ्जों is words. फायदा उठाना is to accrue benefit. इनका पेशा है, that's his vocation. So it's no wonder that he plays with words. And if those words have got added weightage in terms of content, it makes it that much more worthwhile to listen to. He has a lot of credit added and accolades to himself. He has edited all of Bharathiya's poems when they were translated in English, and this was done for Tamil University. And during the centenary year of Bharatiya in 1982, he has released a lot of Bharatiya's texts, translations and notes on his own account. And he was the first to translate the 12th Tirumurai, Periya Puranam, 6th Tirumurai, that is Appathevaram, etc. Above all, he is the honorary director of International Institute of Saiva Siddhanta attached to Dharmakara Adi. And of course, he has attended and brings a lot of inter and international symposiums and seminars on Bharatiya. He has been honored variously by different governments, especially the Tamil Nadu. Before I stand around and detain any minute longer, I would request Pavitra Mahesh, who happens to be his daughter-in-law, to render an invocative song at the beginning of the lecture, which will be a Bharatiya composition. Thank you very much.
Muruha, 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 Muruha. வருவாய் மயமீதினிலே, வருவாய் மயமீதினிலே, வடிவேலுடனே வருவாய், தருவாய் நலமும் தகவும் புகழும், தருவாய் நலமும் தகவும் புகழும், தவமும் திறமும் தனமும் கனமும், முருகா முருகா முருகா. அடியார் பலரிங்குளரே, அவரை விடுவித்தருள்வாய், முடியா மறையின் முடிவே அசுர முடிவே கருதும் வடிவேலவனே, முருகா 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 முருகா. அறிவாகிய கோயிலே, அருளாகிய தாய் மடிமேல், அறிவாகிய கோயிலே, அருளாகிய தாய் மடிமேல், பொறிவேலுடனே வளர்வாய், பொறிவேலுடனே வளர்வாய், அடியார் புதுவாழ் உறவே புவி மீதருள்வாய், முருகா 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 முருகா.
Our vocation is to build poesy, serve the nation, and never get effete even for the time it takes the eyes to wink. O mind heart, pursue these. Lord Ganapati, who is dear to Uma, will foster our clan. Friends, I bring to you all the greetings from India, that is Bharat in general, and Tamil Nadu in particular. I am called upon to speak on the contribution of Mahakavi Bharati. Well, let me confess at the outset that Bharati is too great a theme for me or to anyone of this sublunary sphere. I dare not essay to measure the Vishwarupa of Bharati with my little finger. The adage in Tamil says, Nadi Mukhavadu Nanadi. The ounce measure cannot hold 4 ounces of water, though it be plunged deep into the water. As one of the Vaishnava commentators observed, you can but point your finger at the sea, that's all. You can never size up its mysterious and multitudinous glory. I cannot and should not attempt to analyze Bharati, to place before you an assessment of Bharati's contribution. Analysis, it is well known, is killjoy, and I had better eschew it. The mastery of Bharati will ever remain a mystery to everyone. My humble endeavour, at best, will be an attempt to present Bharati in the light of a triad of viewpoints. Even this will furnish us with God's plenty, and from it we can, by the grace of grace, form our own humble estimate of Bharati's opulent contribution. I will speak to you of Bharati, the patriot, the English prose writer, and the Tamil mystic poet. Friends, Bharati, the patriot. It is but a truism to say that Mahakavi Bharati had written himself into the history of India, securing for himself a fortunate residence, proof against the tooth of time and razor of oblivion. The vibration of the poet's prophetic consciousness manifested themselves as psalms of patriotism, hailed ever since as the Desoperation. The songs are solemn hymns of living truths, and will be ever aglow with an ecstatic incandescence of sheer divinity. When in 1928, the diarchic government of Madras, under the stewardship of the then Chief Minister Dr. Subbarayan, laid its profane hands on the works of Mahakavi Bharati, namely the national songs parts 1 and 2, Satyamurti, known in our parts as the human waterfalls, roared in the Legislative Council in this way. Sir, addressing the Chief Minister, he said, late Subramanya Bharati was a man on whose tongue the goddess Saraswati can honestly be believed to have danced the dance of patriotism. Sarojin Naidu declared, Bharati kindled the souls of men by the million to a more passionate love of freedom and a richer dedication to the service of the country. Bharati is not only the national poet of Tamil Nadu, he belongs also to the whole India. His verses should be published in all the Indian languages, proclaimed Jawaharlal Nehru. Professor Mahadevan declared, within living memory, he was as a trumpet sounding to the battle of our national liberation, and seconded by deeds the words which he winged with song. Byron and Shelley, as you know, true soldiers of the goddess liberty, were in some measure the inspirers of the Mahakavi, who, in all humility, chose to call himself Shelley Dasan. He also formed a guild and named it after Shelley in Ekayapuram. What America was to Walt Whitman, India was to Bharati. Bharati affirmed times without number that Bharat was the greatest on this orbis terrarum. The writings of Bharati inaugurated, truly speaking, a new age. He wrote new poetry, which was, in the words of Dr. K.R. Srinivasa Iyengar, at once autochthonous and brazenly modern. The editor of the Tamil daily, Swadesa Mitran, found in Bharati a true Swadesa Mitra and enlisted his support by making him its sub-editor. In no time, Bharati became, in the words of Dr. Prema Nandakumar, an electrifying political journalist. This fiery propagandist of nationalist gospel flowered into a Mahapurusha of the nationalist, into a Mahapurusha in no time, when he was blessed with a darshan of Sister Nivedita, the spiritual daughter of Swami Vivekananda. In her, Bharati beheld the Viswarupa of Bharata Mata herself. From her, he received a mute message which wholly transmuted him. Thus was wrought this flaming apostle of liberty. Patriotism, to speak the truth, was only one of the 16 kalas which constituted the Purna Chandra, who is Bharati. Bharati's political guru was Lokamanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. One Ishwarayya published a biography of Tilak Maharaj way back in 1908. This work contains a poem of Bharati on Tilak. In this poem, the Mahakavi hails Tilak as the Prince of Seers. Tilaka Munivar Ko are the words of Bharati. Tilak Maharaj, in the estimate of no less an august personality than Max Muller himself, was a rare and lofty scholar. When Tilak chanted, Swaraj is my birthright, the mantric words started reverberating ceaselessly from the four cardinal ends of Akhanda Bharat. Sir Valentine Kiror, a very mischievous British journalist, hailed him as the father of Indian unrest. Bharati, as a true son of the soil, willingly burnt incense at his guru's altar. V.O. Chidambaram Pillai, who later emerged as a pure pillar of patriotic fire, received, as he himself so graciously conceded, the initial illumination from Bharati. Numberless indeed are the patriotic poets of Bharat. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, Swami Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore, Sri Aurobindo, Sarojini Naidu, Virendranath Chattopadhyaya, Harindranath Chattopadhyaya, Sarala Devi Chaudharani, H.L.B. Doratio, Vijendralal Roy and his son Dilip Kumar Roy, Sir Muhammad Iqbal, Qazi Nazrul Islam, R.V. Pandit, Soul D. Rayappan, Keshav Chandrasen, T.L. Vaswani, Payur Bharadwaji, Adio Dato Barato, M.R. Sherman, N.B. Tilak, Vallattur Narayana Meno, Rashtrakavi Kuvempu, Tiruvika and Kaviyogi Suddhananda Bharati are some of the outstanding minstrels of freedom. What distinguishes Bharati from these? The answer to this question invites entry into the realm of psychology, in which field Bharati appears to be an adept. Serfdom or slavery is vile, base and abominable. However, after a time, the serf or the slave begins to like it. As in the words of Charles Lamb, by then the wood has entered into his soul. The slave is happy with his state and estate of slavery. Small wonder the erstwhile bondsmen Jews of Pharaoh rebelled against their liberator Moses more than once. A slave seeks not manumission, which to his denatured mind is gall and wormwood. Slavery holds for the slave an especial glamour, the glamour of elusive security. Bharatiya's seer detected this and framed in verse the heartrending question thus: என்று தணியும் இந்த சுதந்திர தாகம், என்று மடியும் எங்கள் அடிமையில் மோகம். Oh, when will this slake the thirst for freedom? When will it perish our glamour for slavery? He addressed these questions to Sri Krishna, the liberator God, the granter of wisdom, the granter of gnosis, to Arjuna, who stood shaken. If even Arjuna were to be tossed by doubt and dismay, which made him abjure his solemn vow, the plight of the fettered, I would say, would beggar description. The pain of prostrated Bharat was beyond endurance for Bharati. He prepared himself to bleed white, or if need should arise, offer himself as a holy havis in the yajna of freedom. Like the true Vedas, Bharati believed in the efficacy of prayer. He also knew that a prayer was not always immediately answered. So, he consented to wait, though in agony and angst and anguish. The still small voice in him continually assured him of the end of the dark night and the advent of the splendorous dawn. Meanwhile, it was his sacred duty to keep alive his faith and thereby sustain the hope of the other sons of his mother. This he did by his composition in verse and prose, and these proved to be mantras which, when chanted, armed the soul as it were with an amrita kavacha, a death-defying shield. Things have tears, it is said, and Bharati has shed them in abundance for the upliftment of his country and countrymen. It is beyond heart's endurance when thought hovers on these debased. நெஞ்சு பொறுக்குதில்லையே இந்த நிலைகட்ட மனிதரை நினைந்து விட்டார். They fear, they dread, and lo, they perish. This wood for them, this world for them is full of fear. Though the Mahakavi lamented this, he said, yet my thinking causeth no hate. Bharati thought of the plight of the downtrodden, and was steeped in unexampled sadness. He shed tears, as I said, and each precious drop streamed as a flood of purificatory Ganga, which could wash away the sins of the nation. Tear bedewed, he mused thus: who could cure our countrymen? Is there any potent herb, a panacea, a catalicon, a nepenthe that could achieve a miracle? Can art force the advent of an avatar to save the people from well-nigh imminent perdition? He mused and prayed and mused, and on a sudden felt it in his blood that the liberator, the sought after Deus ex machina, had already come in the person of the great Mahatma. Whereupon the god experienced a prophetic vision of freed India, though he himself was not alive to physically witness it. It is thus he hailed the liberator. கொடிய வெண்ணாக பாசத்தை மாற்ற மூலிகை கொணர்ந்தவன் என்கோ. Art thou the bringer of the antidotal herb for the cruel Thanatophidian venom diffused by the snake noose? Yengo is both a word and a phrase. As a phrase, it means my king, Yenko, my sovereign. Bharati says that it wasn't the British king, but Gandhiji that was his king, and proceeded to hail thus: well, Idi, Minal, காக்கும் குடை செய்தான் என்கோ என் சொல்லி புகழ்வது இங்கு உனையே. My king hath wrought a canopy that is proof against thunder and lightning. Now, how are we to extol thee, my sovereign unique? விடுவிலா துன்பம் செய்யும் பராதீன வெம்பினி அகற்றிடும் வண்ணம் படிமிசை புதிதாச் சாலவும் எளிதாம் படிக்குறு சூழ்ச்சி நீ படைத்தாய். To end the alien yoke cruel, the cause of unending misery, thou didst devise in this world a new formula utterly simple. This is how the formula is described. To deem dear as one's own life the life of him who plots one's destruction. Unthinkable. To realize the profound truth that all lives are God's farms, God's own children. These certitudes of true wisdom thou didst, O Lord, wed with politics, fraught with base war, murder and victimization. The Mahakavi concludes his pentet on the Mahatma thus: Thou didst contemn the path of war, the path cobbled with murder vile. Far superior is the way revealed by thee, the road to righteousness, macadamized by the spiritual artists and devotees true. May the world learn from what India is to attain through its fruitful way, Satyagraha. Forget all rancor and rejoice to flourish, poised in righteousness. Well, darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God said, let there be light. And there was light. India, that is Bharat, was in shackles, and Bharati said, we have attained blissful freedom. Yes, we have attained freedom. That blissful freedom is yet to be ours. Well, now let me proceed to the other topic. Well, Bharati as a writer of English prose. This is not well known to even students of Bharati. They are familiar with his Tamil writings in Tamil, but they are not aware of his contribution in this field. Well, why did Bharati write in English? What was the urge? The answer to this question is supplied by K.S. Venkataramani, a very famous man, himself an eminent writer. He wrote in his foreword to Bharati's English works thus: Subramanya Bharati's political genius is the happy result of a cross-fertilization, the clash and contact between two great cultures. They say the oyster breeds the pearl in a moment of irritation. Subramanya Bharati poured forth his patriotic songs in a like moment of conflict, suffering and struggle, when his sensitive and vigorous nature keenly felt the slavery of his country and man's inhumanity to man. Homo homini lupus. Man to man is wolf. His warm emotional temperament and aesthetic nature quickly responded in song to the immense joys of freedom and sunshine, like a lotus bud to the stimulating rays of the dawn. When a poetic soul like Bharati's, happy beyond dream in his own mother tongue, turns to an alien language for the aching joy of self-expression, it is no surprise to find that the art becomes laden with a more serious thought. So we see that Bharati resorted to English for greater adequacy, broader perception and deeper penetration. It is thought of a more serious kind which informs Bharati's English writings. This view is fully buttressed by the well-considered opinion of noveller Somasundara Bharati. Commenting on Bharati's English, the great noveller said, Agni and other essays. These are the two slender volumes contributed by Bharati. Agni and other essays reveals Bharati's mastery of the English language. There is a rare combination of purity of style, mature poise of thought, and familiarity with the classics, both ancient and modern, which are reflected in the grace and dignity of all he wrote. He achieved a level of expression which is artistically varied, yet adequate and satisfying. This is high accolade coming as it does from, this is the observation of Professor Mahadevan. Therefore this is high accolade coming as it does from an acknowledged professor of English. Friends, a slender volume entitled Essays and Other Prose Fragments comprises the prose writings of Bharati. To this are to be added his short story, The Fox with a Golden Tail, a few letters that he indited to the Hindu, a letter to Ramsay MacDonald, and an incomplete article entitled Political Evolution in the Madras Presidency. We may also tack on to this slender anthology the matter appearing under the title Thoughts with the subtitle from Bharati's My Journal of Thoughts and Deeds 1914 to 1918. This portion is part of Bharati's Agni and other poems and translations. If all the prose writings of Bharati's are brought out in a book form, its pages will not exceed 120. Quantitatively, this isn't much. However, qualitatively, it symbolizes high and worthy achievement of Bharati's English works. Professor Mahadevan remarked, it's a slim volume of a little over 100 pages in bold type with a generous spacing, but the quality of it is so high that Bharati's admirers must ever regret that he did not write more extensively in English. A careful analysis of Bharati's prose writings in English will reveal clearly and indubitably Bharati's, I borrow the words of T.S. Eliot, polyphilo-progenitive polymathy. From them we gather that Bharati was an inspired letter writer, a diarist, a persuasively trenchant essayist, a cautious critic, an amiable aesthetician, a fair and honest reviewer, a parodical storyteller, an admirable translator, an intelligent scribbler, a peace-loving philosopher, a polemical theologian, a meaningful metaphysician, a maximist, an aphorizer, and an apothegmatist. Bharati's writings appeared in the Hindu, the New India, the Commonweal, and the Arya, a journal founded by Sri Aurobindo. The section entitled Thoughts is obviously a collection culled from Bharati's diary or notebooks. Some of them, according to Professor Mahadevan, are nomic in their pregnant brevity. Others are epigrams, while sententiae abound. I will at once treat you to a few of the kickshas from Bharati's lauder. He says, he is a slave who receives favors. Then he tries to answer certain questions. He himself poses the question, what is the object of life? Philosophy has an answer, many answers. Science has an answer, many answers. I have a counter question. What is the object of non-life? Bharati says, 3/4 of spirituality trumpeted among men have been proved to be ways of earning money practiced by scoundrels or self-deluded charlatans. Bharati says, there is more spirituality outside your temples than in them. Where there is a will, there is a way. But oh heavens, where is the way to get a will? Then he says, I have willed that what I will achieve. I will. This is my mantra. I will be strong. I will grow into strength. I will age into youth. That is his observation. Success my law, success my way, and success is completed. And success shall be my pride. Well, then says Bharati, I am greater than all princes. You know why? I am myself. Action is my prayer. I am the giver. I receive not. The message of Bharati, as gleaned from his essay to the being of the universe, is this. The mind may be put into any mold, any groove by means of the will. The mind is passive clay to the almighty hands of the will. In his article, The Service of God, he observes, we find that the Aryan and the Christian realizations have been polar, denying each other at their ends while united at the base. The one has a martyr for its ideal, the Christ, the God of suffering, loving but slain, triumphant but dying. Its saints are victims to God. Its church claims the blood of the martyrs for her seed. Its symbol is the cross. Its chief effort is to wash off the load of sin by denying oneself. The other upholds rishis, soldiers of God, but the lovers of truth with earthly happiness are not suffering for their watchword, fighting error under the standard of God, but working for longevity and illustrious progeny, for the joy of faithful soulmates and the Soma Jews. On Siddha Purusha, this is what Bharati says, firmly established in Mauna, the silence which is eternal and absolute, fearless of death, disease, and the devil, serene in the strength of God, and happy in the knowledge of immortality. Irresistible is his action, tireless his labor, and full-souled in service, the Siddha lives amidst men, a representative of the will divine, a veritable messenger from heaven, protector of men, loving, elevating, immortalizing. Sometimes the prose of Bharati bursts into poesy. It is so when the Wordsworthian mood seizes him. For instance, in what he says in his essay known as Immortality, let us see a passage, let me read a passage from Bharati. Deep in the heart of nature, there is an unending flow of harmony. Whoso drinks of this harmony attains to immortality. Trees, stars and clouds, the ripples of the stream, and the fair maids of Vrindavan, they all melt into one joy of life when the notes of the divine flute are heard. The voice of immortality shall make thee realize that thou art one with the dawn and the night, the stars and the pebbles. And that it is this realization that a man must have before ever he can hear the voice of immortality. This is how Bharati defines fatalism. Trust in God and be free. Trust in God and be free. This is fatalism according to theory of fatalism according to Bharati. Well, Bharati, the Vedic poet, asseverates that Agni is the illuminant, which Sri Aurobindo he affirms. Agni is the illumined will. The essay entitled Rasa, the key word of Indian culture, is a gem. This article ends thus. In this drama of life, our parts are chosen by ourselves. Alans, it's a French word, I don't know how to pronounce it. A-L-L-O-N-S. Let us be gods and goddesses. Bharati's review of Aurobindo's work Ahana is Keatsian in its opening, which is worded thus: a thing of truth is a force forever. Keats said a thing of beauty is joy forever. And Bharati says a thing of truth is a force forever. In this review, Bharati commends Sri Aurobindo's uniform adherence to the poetic truth and says, truth is to poetry what fact is to science. He also reminds us that the Vedic name for the poet is Kavi, which means the seer. Bharati's essay, The Crime of Caste, elicited high praise from Rajaji, who chose rarely to praise others. It elicited high praise from him. His appreciation was published in the journal known as Commonweal, dated October 20, 1916. In his article, The Place of Woman, Bharati observes, I appeal to you to listen to this passage with care. This is what Bharati said. The place of woman, in his article, The Place of Woman, Bharati observes, civilization is the taming down of man by woman. And very true. Is the taming down of man by woman. Men indeed have till now been trying with scant success to civilize one another by means of the sword and the bullet, the prison cell, the gibbet and the rack. But it has been the lot of women to have no other weapon than fables, parables and symbols in her work of civilizing man. Equally great is his article Women's Freedom, which appeared on 30 April 1915 again in the Commonweal. The Commonweal also featured Bharati's article entitled Love and Marriage. According to him, love is the strange and mystic soul magnetism. He concludes, we live because we love, not because we make compromises. Love is life, custom is nothing. Bharati's humor is at its best when he attacks Professor Sundararam. It is thus he rails him. It is wrong, quote, it is wrong to allow religious differences to divide the patriotic camp. For instance, there is Professor Sundararam Iyer, who believes that a Brahmana without a particular form of tuft and a particular kind of painting on his forehead cannot be a Brahmana or a Hindu. He fancies that if a man went to Japan, England or America for the acquisition of knowledge, and of course dined with the foreigners while there, for in Rome you must dine with the Romans, such a man is unfit to call himself a pure Hindu. He thinks that if you took away the sacred thread from Vasishta or Yajnavalkya, they would have ceased to be Brahmanas and Hindus. I happen to differ from the worthy professor. I differ fundamentally, radically and absolutely. I think that even we Brahmanas are men, and each man's tuft or dinner is his own private concern, not Professor Sundararaman's. We can learn a good deal from the sketches of Bharati. He has written on many topics. Bharati has also translated a few of the political maxims of Bandar Shah. Of this great man I have not heard much. Well, he wrote on Nammalvar and Andal. He indicted on rights and duties, vernaculars, national languages as media of instruction, and the occult element in Tamil speech. His complete article on political evolution in the Madras presidency, I tell you, offers valuable material for the reconstruction of South Indian history. Bharati condemned the Britishers for their iniquitous and thoughtless persecution. He appealed through a well-documented letter to Ramsay MacDonald, the then leader of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, to use his good offices to bring about the necessary redressal. Bharati's prose writings in English cover a wide range of his English works. As I said earlier, noveler Somasundara Bharati said, we meet with more daring and a wider range of speculative thought directly bearing upon the modern life of mankind, rare to be found to the same extent even in his Tamil writings. Can I have 10 more minutes? to say something about fluid water? Shall we stop? As you please. As you please, because it is well. I'll be with you for another 10 minutes. Koil part. Bharati, the mystic Tamil poet. Koil part of the Mahakavi is a lyric in the sweep of which lies suspended the triple words of Dante. Pieces on many themes are packed into one simple poem. The poem itself floats lightly and skims its way to a dreamland of phantasmagoria, love and death, jealousy and fate, imaginative poesy and stark reality, and light and darkness are woven into a fabric of